I feel blessed, that's evident. I'm the best I've ever been. So if they ask you how I feel, what's up? I'ma tell you I feel amazing. I feel blessed, that's evident. I'm the best I've ever been. So if they ask you how I feel, what's up? I'ma tell you I feel amazing. I'ma tell you I feel amazing. I feel blessed, that's evident. I'm the best I've ever been. So if they ask you how I feel, I'ma tell you I feel amazing.
Ladies and gentlemen, how y'all doing today? It is Friday, November 17th, 2023, in this building. The Playmakers in the building, and just programming note, no video for this episode, straight audio, just like we had for Ramley Talk, for Bear Down and Gridiron today. No videos, just straight audio. But y'all still gonna get y'all show. I'm still gonna give you what you've been looking for because it is Friday. It is time to talk some college football. Another programming note. I'm debating it right now. I'm working some things out, but I'm trying my best to do a bearing down and gridiron next week. And if I do and get everything right, it will be next Wednesday. And it will not be Friday. It'll be next Wednesday. That way, enjoy Thanksgiving with your family. Enjoy Black Friday. Then we off to the weekend, which is going to be a very big weekend. It's the last weekend of the regular season next week. So a lot to get into. So I'm not going to waste too much of your time because we are already behind. Got some issues with the streaming platform, so we got to get right into it. So, ladies and gentlemen, you know how we just jump it off. We're going right to the 2-minute drill. And to begin the 2-minute drill, we have here Florida State to retire Jameis Winston jersey, honor 2013 championship. So the Florida State Seminoles this coming Saturday, tomorrow, they will be honoring Jameis Winston, his jersey, as they retire his jersey ahead of their game against Northern Alabama this week. That game is, let me see if I can find it. That game is tomorrow at 6:30 on the CW network in Tallahassee. As it is prime that Florida State will be moving on to 11-0 for the final week of the season. A nice way to retire the jersey from the star quarterback that led the Florida State Seminoles to the national championship over the Auburn Tigers and back in 2013. It was nice to see that take place. Moving on, Penn State fires offensive coordinator Mike Yuskit. Interesting how that works out. Everything was surrounding around Michigan, and then before you know it, we have some more coordinators getting fired. This time at Penn State, James Franklin making a move, which I don't think that is the correct move. To be honest, I think the head man himself need to go, but I'm not going to go there just yet. So we're gonna move on. Speaking of coaching, we have some coaching news out the gate. Mississippi State has fired head coach Zach Arnett after during his first year there. Didn't even get a man a chance to coach the team and get his recruits in and anything. They just fired him out the gate. I don't understand that move whatsoever. Boise State fires coach Andy Avalo after a 22-14 record. A lot of coaching news is happening this week. Very lot. Excuse me, but there's more to come. We're going to be talking about it. Pivot away from the coaching news real quickly. Ruling grant Oregon State and Washington State full control of the Pac-12. If you remember the other schools that are still currently in the Pac-12, the Oregons and the USC, UCLA's, the Washingtons of the world, they were filing a suit to stop Oregon State and Washington State from taking over the Pac-12 because they will be the only two members left when the 2024 season hits, and the judge was ruling in their favor. So Oregon and Oregon State gets full control of the Pac-12 going into next season. Back to the coaching news. Ladies and gentlemen, Texas A&M, the biggest news that came out this week, back on the 12th, was that Texas A&M fired head coach Jimbo Fisher. And then firing Jimbo Fisher, this man got $76 million buyout. $76 million to not coach Texas A&M ever again. Good, 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 good. That is interesting. But like I said in my post, I bet Jimbo won't say nothing else about the SEC never again. You brought your butt to the Southeastern Conference. You ain't even sniff a SEC West title, let alone to play for the damn conference in Atlanta. Not even close. Matter of fact, if I remember correct, I think you only had one 10-win season. Matter of fact, you probably didn't had none 10-win season. And the AD of Texas A&M came out and said the firing of Jimbo Fisher was basically because the program was stuck in neutral. Find a lie, as Snowman would say. Find a lie. Stuck in neutral. There's nothing that you can do. So that was going on, and something I forgot to mention about the ruling of the Pac-12. It so on the 14th they were ruling in favor of it, but 2 days later on the 16th, on yesterday, Washington court puts temporary pause on control of Pac-12. It says here in this article. The Washington State Supreme Court issued a temporary stay of Tuesday preliminary injunction that was set to grant control of the Pac-12 Board of Directors to Oregon State and Washington State on Monday. The court's ruling came a day after the University of Washington, working on the behalf of the 10 schools set to depart the Pac-12 at the end of the academic year, filed an emergency motion to stay Tuesday's ruling and extend a temporary restraining order that has been in place since September. That temporary restraining order prevents any board action without unanimous consent from the 12 current members. Thursday's preliminary ruling was not exactly what Washington requested, but it does have a similar impact in the short term as Oregon State and Washington State will not control the conference board beginning Monday. Instead, both parties have been asked to file brief regards Washington's emergency state request, with the courts asking for those to be filed by November 28th and a reply by December 8th. So hold off on Oregon State and Washington State taking full control of the Pac-12 just yet. And then the big news was that Jim Harbaugh and Michigan have accepted the 3-game suspension. And then on top of that, they fired defensive court, they linebackers coach. Basically at the same time. After everything we went through with Michigan, the Colin Stallion situation, the sign stealing, Michigan feel like they being acted by the NCAA. The Big Ten better not do this because they do this. That's violating the bylaws of the Big Ten. And if they do, we're going to file a lawsuit. The Big Ten didn't give a damn. They still suspended him for 3 games. They filed a temporary restraining order. And it was going to be set for today, supposedly. But yesterday, they accepted the punishment. And the article says here, this is yesterday's article. Michigan and coach Jim Harbaugh have agreed to the Big Ten's 3-game suspension of the Wolverines coach. The school announced Thursday, which means Harbaugh will not coach at Maryland tomorrow or in the regular season finale against arch rival Ohio State. According to the statement, the university said the Big Ten agreed to close the investigation, which means there won't be a hearing Friday morning, as it was planned at the Washtenaw County Courthouse. The case has been firmly dismissed, saying, quote, this morning the university, Coach Harbaugh, and the Big Ten resolved a pending litigation. The conference agreed to close the investigation, and the university and Coach Harbaugh agreed to accept the 3-game suspension. Coach Harbaugh, with the university support, decided to accept this sanction to return to the focus to our student athletes and their performance on the field. The conference has confirmed that it is not aware of any information suggesting Coach Harbaugh's involvement in the allegations. The university continues to cooperate fully with the NCAA's investigation. Close quote. The Big Ten said in their statement saying, quote, legal challenges, pretty much why. Okay. Commissioner's duty to protect the integrity of competition will never waver. Today's decision by the University of Michigan to withdraw its legal challenge against the conference November 10th notion of disciplinary actions is indicative of the high standards and values that the conference and the university seeks to uphold. The University of Michigan is a valued member of the Big Ten Conference, and the conference will continue to work cooperatively with the university and the NCAA during this process. Close quote. To be honest, do we know what this looks like? This looks like when the NCAA finishes their investigation, hell is coming for the University of Michigan. Because I believe at that point in time, Jim Harbaugh ain't gonna be at Michigan. I think Jim Harbaugh gonna go back to the NFL to avoid that penalty, in which somebody like I don't know Pete Carroll did before they got on USC. They ended up taking the, the Heisman Trophy from Reggie Bush, and Pete Carroll got off scot free because he was not there anymore. Even though Reggie Bush wasn't even there no more, and they still took his Heisman. So that's all I got to say on that. Now, to finish out the 2 minute drill, so far we have 5 head coaching openings so far. We have 2 in the group of 5 that is, and they both are in the Mountain West. That'll be Boise State because their coach has fired, and San Diego State because their coach is retiring at the end of the season. In the Power 5, we have a Big Ten and Michigan State, and then the other 2 are in the SEC, Texas A&M and Mississippi State. That is the 2 minute drill, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take a break, and then when we come back, we got to recap what took place in week 10. We'll be back. Also, I say week 11. Week 11, we'll be back. Ram fans across the nation, Ram fans across the world, the Playmaker down there silence here, and you have turned into Ramley Talk.
Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp said, the GOAT is not getting his ball back. We are ending this right here, right now. And Matthew Stafford did it. Somebody explain to me, why does this keep happening with the San Francisco 49ers? You can't stop Deebo Samuel for whatever reason. You make Jimmy G look like a damn good quarterback. And then the offensive line and defensive line getting their ass whooped by the other ones. Somebody explain this to me. Please.
Baker Mayfield was just a walk-through practice into his tenure with the Rams, and he's out there throwing game-winning touchdowns.
Just like in the San Francisco game, Aaron Donald gets to Joe Burrow. Burrow tries to get rid of it. It falls wide and short of some IJP run. Turnover on down.
Subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and whatever else that you listen to Ramley Talk on.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Cowboys Talk.
The Dallas Cowboys got exactly what they deserved. Let me say that one more time, because you know it's true. The Dallas Cowboys got exactly what they deserved.
Dak Prescott is overrated and he shouldn't be paid, okay? And the same thing with Pollard. I mean, Pollard breaking the tackles at that 57-yard touchdown run. I mean, we needed that big time.
33 points in the fourth quarter. Let me say that again. 33 points in the fourth quarter. And that's off of 4 turnovers committed by the Colts. See, at one point, and the fact that at the end of the third quarter, it was 21-19, and the final score was 54-19. Now that, ladies and gentlemen, that is completely unexpected.
Cowboys Talk is available on all streaming platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and YouTube.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Bearing Down the Gridiron. We got our 2-minute drill out the way now. Let's go with the Gridiron Roundup, ladies and gentlemen. And to begin our Gridiron Roundup, as we saw, Michigan walked into Happy Valley to take on the Penn State Nittany Lions, and they gave it to them by a team of 24-15. Washington hosted Utah in a big time showdown in the Pac-12 with Washington surviving 35-28. From the Pacific Northwest down to Missouri, as the Missouri Tigers coming off that heartbreaking loss to the Georgia Bulldogs a prior week. They was hosting Tennessee in a big time SEC East game, and Missouri destroyed them boys. Destroyed the Volunteers 36-7. The battle in the Sunshine State up in Tallahassee for the ACC. It was between the Florida State Seminoles and the Miami Hurricanes, arch rivals. Get together. Can Florida State keep their season undefeated and knock up their arch rivals, or can their arch rivals do something that they love to do to the Florida State Seminoles and blow any hopes Florida State has in postseason play? Florida State survives 27-20. Going back out west to the Pac-12, it was the Oregon Ducks hosting the USC Trojans up in Eugene, Oregon. You just knew that no matter what Caleb Williams did, it was not going to be enough against Oregon, and the show wasn't. 36-27, the Ducks continue to roll. And then in our game of the week, it was the Georgia Bulldogs hosting the Ole Miss Rebels in a top 10 SEC showdown. Ole Miss trying to keep a win to stay alive in the SEC West, while Georgia is trying to inch even that it was trying to close out the East and get back to Atlanta for the SEC championship, and in doing so, be helping their opponent out for that game, in which they did by the tune of 52-17, a beat down of the Ole Miss Rebels. Thus, the SEC championship is set. Dive a little closer in a couple of these games. Michigan going to Happy Valley and winning 24-15. The score doesn't look that impressive, but here's what is impressive. In the second half, Michigan decided, ladies and gentlemen, Michigan decided to run the ball 30 straight times. We talking 30 straight times. These boys ran the ball. Their first drive of the second half, they came out 13 plays, 13 runs, okay? 13 runs, and it led to a field goal. Okay? Penn State punts on their next drive. All right? Michigan runs the ball 3 more times. They get a 3 and out. They punt. Okay? And then Penn State punts again, 3 and out. Michigan runs the ball 5 more times and punt. Another 3 and out for Penn State. Michigan runs the ball 3 more times and punt. It's turnover on downs for Penn State after that. Bite Crum 1 yard, 30 yards out run for a touchdown to make it 24-9. And some more running from Blake Crow. They ran the ball 30 times in the second half. Just pumped the Nittany Lions on their home turf. In front of the Nittany Lions faithful, Michigan went in there and pumped the Nittany Lions to run the ball 30 straight times in the second half. That is terrible. They didn't even throw the ball not one time in the second half. Not one time. Not one throw in the second half by the Michigan Wolverines. That is a damn shame right there. That's a damn shame. Okay? That's a damn shame. Another game I want to talk about, Tennessee. What the hell was y'all doing in Missouri? Y'all got y'all ass whooped. 36-7? 36-7. They beat y'all ass. They smacked y'all around like y'all wasn't worth a damn. Okay? y'all took the lead 7-3 at the 12 and a half mark of the second quarter. And these boys with 33 straight. And that's how the game ended. Y'all got y'all ass whooped, Tennessee. Y'all don't even show y'all face. Y'all got y'all ass whooped, okay? And speaking of, Florida State survived again. By the way, back and forth game. Unfortunately, Miami starting quarterback was out. He got injured, and that was all she wrote for the Miami Hurricanes. That Florida State survived on that one. I already talked about USC Northern, but Lane Kiffin, damn dude, Lane Kiffin. I don't know what to tell you, man. When there's a big game involving your team comes out and losing in, and most of the time getting your ass whooped. 52-17. You went in the halftime down 28-14, and then you ain't even score again until the fourth quarter. You want to get the field goal. Y'all got y'all ass whooped. Y'all went to Athens and got spanked. Just spanked. Lane Kiffin, I mean, you doing it. Like, you got Ole Miss being ranked in the top 10, top 15 consistently, but your ass can't win big games. You can't win big games. James Franklin can't win big games. Brian Kelly can't win big games. What are we doing here? Like, jeez. Y'all just got your ass whooped in Athens. Good Lord. All right, that was the campus tour slate that we just went through with some other noticeable games I think we need to pay attention to. Alabama, the fan vote was Alabama and Kentucky, and we knew how that game was going to go. And it went the second half. We went 49-21. Alabama Crimson Tide rode Kentucky out in Lexington, Kentucky. Woo! The bounce out was definitely bouncing in Orlando. And the Cowboys of Oklahoma State, they didn't handle it very well because y'all got y'all ass with 45-3. And the upset of the week comes from Lawrence, Kansas, when the Texas Tech Red Raiders walked in up in Lawrence, Kansas, and took out the Kansas Jayhawks 16-13. They didn't expect when you see Kansas and Texas Tech, you don't expect 29 points to be scored. You expect one of them teams to have at least 29, but 29 combined, that was something different right there. And Texas Tech won the defensive game, surprisingly. And speaking of a team who won in a surprising fashion, Oklahoma, welcome to the blowout city. Damn, it took y'all long enough. You lost to Kansas and you lost to freaking Oklahoma State. Now you finally want to beat somebody's ass? And West Virginia, by the way, that was really shocking as it is, because West Virginia's like the only team that actually played defense until Texas Tech decided to play defense against Kansas. 59-20. A 39-point win. Good Lord have mercy. What was that the last 2 weeks? What was that? And then the LSU Tigers against the SEC East arch rivals, the Florida Gators. When you see 52-35, you was like, damn, high scoring game, but I would get more into that game in a minute. Obviously, we already talked about Alabama and Kentucky, and yep, Alabama was up 21-0 before Kentucky even got on the board. And then it became 28-7 at halftime, and it was just like, yeah, Alabama got this from left and right. The 45-3 ass whooping that the USC Knights put on the Oklahoma State Cowboys was very surprising. It was 14-0. It was like, okay, cool. Then it became 20, and then it became 17-0. It was like, okay. Don't want to get too happy because they did have a 28-point lead on Baylor at the same place, and Baylor still came back and won. 24-0 at halftime. Okay. Oklahoma State gets on the board. And then 14 more points came from UCF. So we went from 24-0 at halftime to 24-3 in the third quarter to 31-3. Then it became 38-3. And it's like, well, damn. 38-3 in the fourth quarter. Y'all ain't coming back. There's no way in hell y'all for them. No. That is done. Mike Gundy, thanks a lot. You can beat Oklahoma, but you can't beat UCF. What kind of bullshit is that? Right, talk about this upset of the week, Texas Tech over Kansas, surprising. And Texas Tech turned out a 10-0 lead, which was very surprising. And then it was 13-0 going to the fourth quarter. And then all of a sudden, Kansas started making a comeback against Texas Tech, but an extra field goal by Texas Tech made it 16-13. That's how the game ended. Now, my beloved Gators, ladies and gentlemen. For the first time in my life, I actually had Florida State fans, Georgia fans, period, did not want to talk about the embarrassment that the Gators were in Baton Rouge, especially on the defensive side. Then the fact that we gave up 52 points. That ain't the problem. The problem ain't us giving up 52 points. It was in Baton Rouge. It was in LSU. It was in prime time. So most of us in Gator Nation knew we was not going to win this game no matter what. Here's the disappointing part. Jaden Daniels single-handedly whooped our ass. Jaden Daniels. Lord have mercy. We already knew he good at it. He's a great athlete, great quarterback. This man broke an NCAA record, an FBS record on our ass. This man threw for 372 yards and 3 touchdowns. And this dude ran for 234 yards and 2 touchdowns. So we're talking 372 plus 234 on the ground. That man combined for 606 yards and 5 touchdowns. No turnovers. The dude averaged 14.3 yards per pass. He averaged 19.5 yards per run. I mean, we got beat to shreds by one player. And it is like, I'm looking at Graham Hurst's numbers, 26 for 38, 311 and a touchdown. Trevor Etienne numbers, 18 carries, 99 yards, 3 touchdowns. Ricky Pascal, 7 catches, and it don't even matter. Like the offense gave you 35 points. 35 points in the SEC is great. But Jaden Daniels, good gracious. 606 combined yards and 5 touchdowns with not one turnover. That is just demoralizing, embarrassing. I mean, that defense got shredded apart by a quarterback with both his arm and legs. The lead receiver for the Tigers, by the way, was Thomas Jr. He had 6 catches, 150 and 2 touchdowns. That's to see that game and to see Jaden Daniels do what he did to us. That was just embarrassing to watch, man. Embarrassing. And to have people in the Gator Nation having to put on social media, can we have a defense? It's a post that I never thought people would post about a Florida team. Now, we don't have an offense. Okay, I've seen that plenty of times, but we don't have a damn defense, and we're in the Southeastern Conference. That's a problem. Bill Nepp, you got to do something, man, next year. You got to do something next year, man. I will say this year. I'm gonna give you a benefit that I want you to go through next year, because next year is gonna be a damn hard schedule. If you can make it through that, we have a chance. But for the defense to get ripped to shreds like that, that is a effing problem. All right, that's an effing problem. Now that I got my soapbox out the way, and you know how to get that out the way. Here are the current standings of the conference thus far. Only one I don't have is the Southeastern Conference, because we already know who was in the SEC, who was already in the SEC championship. That would be Alabama and Georgia yet again. 4 p.m. first weekend of December. Okay. And the Atlantic Coast in the Atlantic Coast Conference, Florida State is number 1. They already had solidified their spot. Who will join them? And the driver's seat to join them is Louisville right now, who is 6-1 in conference play. But North Carolina, NC State, Virginia Tech all have a say, as long as Miami knocks out Louisville. All right. That's the ACC. In the Big 12, You got Texas, you got Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Iowa State, Kansas State. There's a lot going on here in the Big 12. Somehow, some way, Texas has not solidified their spot in the conference championship game yet. So we do not know who's going to be in the Big 12 championship. We have to wait and see how that goes. All right. So both spots are still up for grabs. Right now, Texas is on top at 6-1. Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Iowa State, and Kansas State all at 5-2. With Oklahoma State leading the way because they actually beat Oklahoma. I do believe they beat Iowa State and they did beat Kansas State, if I'm correct. Oh, let me go back and look. Before I even confirm that, let me go look at the Big 12 and see what happens. Let me go look at this stuff. All right. Looking at Oklahoma State schedule, if I'm looking at so they beat Oklahoma, we already know that. Iowa State beat Oklahoma, but Oklahoma did beat Kansas State. So we have Iowa State knocking off Oklahoma State. So we have that. Kansas State has been lost to Oklahoma State. They have a date with Iowa State to come. That'll be next weekend. After they have a date with Kansas this weekend. So that's that. Let's look at Oklahoma. Oklahoma beating Iowa State and beat them by 30, by the way. And they also beat Texas. Lost to Kansas, lost to Oklahoma State. They have Virginia Tech. It's going to be interesting to see who makes it. Only thing Texas got to do is win, and they're good. But that second spot going to be up for grabs between these 4 teams between Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Iowa State, and Kansas State. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes. So let's see how that goes and see how that works out in the Big 12. Big 10, quite simple. Very quite simple. If I'm looking at this correct, I'm pretty sure, let me see, is Iowa already solidified in the Big 10 championship? Or do they got some more work to do? Let's see. Nope, Iowa's not solidified yet, even though they are 5-2 in conference play, with Northwestern sitting at 3-3, Nebraska sitting at 3-3, Wisconsin sitting at 3-3, Illinois sitting at 3-3, and Minnesota sitting at 3-4. So Iowa has a 2-game lead on just about everybody. How are they not already in the Big 10 championship? Let me see. What's Iowa? Iowa plays Illinois this week. That would be why. And then who do they have next week? Then they have Nebraska next week. Okay. I can see what's going on here. I can definitely see. So Iowa needs to win this week, and they'll put that to bed. Let's beat Illinois at home, and they have that done. And then we already know the big one is between Michigan and Ohio State. That's next weekend. So the winner of that game would most likely get Iowa in the Big 10 championship game. And then that just leaves us with the Pac-12. And here's how the Pac-12 was out. Washington 7-0. Oregon 6-1. We already know who that loss came to. Right behind them is Arizona at 5-2. Oregon State at 5-2. The way that's go, I do is Washington. I don't even think Washington solidified their spot yet. Washington hasn't even solidified their spot yet. So it's gonna be interesting what they need to do to solidify their spot. Well, they're gonna be in Corvallis this week. We know that much. And then you have the Apple Cup against Washington State. That's should be interesting. Oregon, they have Arizona State this week, and then a date with Oregon State next week in Eugene. That's going to be a fun one, and that game will be on Black Friday. Let's look at Arizona. Arizona this week, they have Utah coming in to Tempe, Arizona. Or Tucson, Arizona, should I say. Then they go, and speaking of Tempe, they go to Tempe, Arizona to take on the Arizona State Sun Devils. And then, Oregon State, who has the toughest remaining 2 games out of everybody. They have Washington coming to Corvallis, and then they go to Eugene. So Outside of the Florida State having a spot solidified in the ACC and the SEC championship game already set between Georgia and Alabama, everything else is still up for grabs. But a lot of answers can be dealt with tomorrow if it's done correctly, ladies and gentlemen. If it's done correctly. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I went perfect. I went a perfect 6-0 with the extra point with Bama destroying Kentucky. 6-0. Michigan took care of Penn State. Washington survived against Utah. Missouri beating Tennessee. Florida State knocking off Miami. Oregon winning against USC and Georgia smashing Ole Miss. So I went a perfect 6-0. I am 47-19. I am almost 30 games above 500. 30 games above. I'm almost at 30 games above 500. And I have 2 weeks to do it. I have 2 weeks to do it. Okay? 2 weeks to do it. So we'll see how that rolls. So with that being said, we're going to take another commercial break here. Then when we come back, campus tour, campus tour, campus tour. We'll be back. The Playmakers blog is sponsored by Paramount Plus. Paramount Plus, mountains of entertainment. So much to stream. From shows and movies you can only catch here on Paramount Plus, whether it be from CBS, BET, Comedy Central, Nickelodeon, and so much more. The new home of Showtime. Watch Showtime original series, movies, and sports when you sign up for Paramount Plus with Showtime. Catch exclusive originals from Paramount Plus such as Star Trek, Strange Wars, The Family Stallones, Halo, and so much more. You also can stream live sports like NFL on CBS, the UEFA Champions League, the Masters, and the SEC on CBS. Paramount Plus, you can stream up to 3 devices when you create an account. So Paramount Plus plan starts at $5.99. If you hit that link below, you can get a free trial. Paramount Plus, mountains of entertainment. The Playmakers blog is sponsored by Lids. Locker Rooms by Lids. Shop hats and official sports gear at Lids. Lids, the leader and #1 destination for hats, gears, and everything that moves you. Make it a perfect shop for fans to find official sports hats, merchandise, and gears. Represent your team, your town, and your style with a snapback, adjustable, fitted hat, or beanie from thousands of college and professional teams. Browse the very latest jerseys and t-shirts for the best teams out there. Lids has officially licensed professional and college sports teams apparel and hats featuring the hottest brands and trends. Shop online or visit one of the 100 stores across the country. Locker Rooms by Lids. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Bearing Down and Gridiron. I gotta admit, it's kind of different. It's different when I don't have video up here and y'all can't see the graphics. I know y'all love the graphics. But we're going on the campus tour, ladies and gentlemen. So with the campus tour, we're going to begin the campus tour out in, man, I'm going to throw a curveball at y'all. We're going to Missouri. We're going to Memphis, Tennessee, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to the American League Conference, all right? So I'm throwing a curveball at y'all. I'm sorry. But I had to do it. I looked at the slate and I'm like, I got to talk about this game because we have the 8-2 Southern Methodist University, or better known as SMU, taking on the 8-2 Memphis Tigers down in Memphis, Tennessee. This is a noon game on ESPN2. Ladies and gentlemen, go to the standings real quick. As I look at the standings, the Tulane Green Wave are 6-0 in conference play. SMU is also undefeated in conference play at 6-0. There's a third team undefeated in conference play in the American Conference. That is the University of Texas San Antonio World Runners. Beep, beep. Are 6-0. And then right behind them, sitting at 4, is the Memphis Tigers at 5-1. So if you want to know why I put this game on the board, it's because this game has a lot on it, okay, for the American Conference. You have an undefeated conference game of SMU going against a team with only one loss in conference play in Memphis. And there's a lot riding on this game because you have Tulane playing at Florida Atlantic, and you have going on in about an hour or so, around about at 9 o'clock on this Friday. South Florida are going to Texas to take on Texas Antonio. So that should be interesting there. And then the following week, Memphis will take on Temple. UTSA will take on Tulane down in New Orleans, Louisiana. SMU will be hosting Navy. So a lot can happen in these 2 weeks now. A lot can happen. SMU and Memphis get together. That's a good one. From Memphis, Tennessee, and the American, let's head out to the West Coast to the Pac-12 with the ranked matchup of 17 versus 22, and that would be the Utah Utes ranked 22 on the road to Tucson, Arizona to take on the 17-ranked Wildcats of Arizona. This game is at 2:30 on tomorrow on the Pac-12 network. I already went through it in the previous segment of the Gridiron Roundup. Big one in the Pac-12. Arizona trying to make a bid, trying to keep it close with a small, and I do mean small chance of making it to the Pac-12 championship game. But the fact that Oregon has to play still, and then next week against Oregon State, anything can happen. And Utah is pretty much on the outside looking in at 4-3 in conference play, but we know the situation with them. They haven't had their starting quarterback Cam Rising for the whole season, so it's been a tough slating for them and whatnot. But we understand it, and we're gonna keep it moving just like that. But we ain't done with the Pac-12 because we gonna leave Arizona. We gonna stay in the Pac-12. We gonna go to California, Los Angeles, California, by the way. And to be even more specific, we're going to the Coliseum as the USC Trojans face off against their crosstown rivals, the UCLA Bruins. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The week is here. The University of California, Los Angeles, going against the University of Southern California at the Coliseum. That game is at 3:30 on ABC. It's the blue versus the red. All right. It's a lot going on in this game. Caleb Williams, could this be his final USC UCLA game to be played? This might be his final home game too, if I'm looking at it right. Yep, this is his final home game. This is it. This could be the end for Caleb Williams, or he does have one more year eligibility. He can come back. This could be it for him. We shall see, but this could be it. This could be the final game of the great Caleb Williams. We shall see. See what can Chip Kelly do with this team. They was looking good at first, and then they started losing games left and right. So somebody's gonna have their fifth loss of the season. It's gonna be a painful one at that, to lose in this game. Okay. 3:30 ABC yet again. From the city of Angels of Los Angeles, California, and the Pac-12, we go to the Big 12. Lawrence, Kansas, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Sunflower Showdown. As 25th ranked Kansas Jayhawks hosts 21st ranked Kansas State Wildcats. It's the battle of the Cats and the Hawks. Lawrence, Kansas, the battle for Kansas, 7 p.m. FS1. You do not want to miss it. If you're a fan of either one of these teams, if you're a Big 12 fan, you do not want to miss it. There's a lot on the line for one team in particular, and we're talking about the Kansas State Wildcats, as they are trying to keep in with the honestly of a chance of making the Big 12 title game and defending their crown. But all that can go away if a pissed off Kansas Jayhawks come rolling in their home field in front of their home crowd and make up for the disappointing loss that they took a week ago to the Texas Tech Raiders. Red Raiders, should I say. That game is at 8 p.m. It's 7 p.m. on FS1. And we're going to stay in the Big 12 because the hits keep on coming. From Lawrence, Kansas to Ames, Iowa. And it is the Iowa State Cyclones hosting the 7th-ranked Longhorns of Texas. 8 p.m. on Fox. Another matchup, but this matchup featuring two teams who are jockeying for a spot in the Big 12 championship. A win by Texas, and they solidified their spot going to Arlington, Texas, in Jerry's World. It's nice to have Quinn Ewers back for the Longhorns as they survived Fort Worth, Texas by 6. For the Cyclones of Iowa State. I don't think many people saw them being at this position and point going into the season. But what has transpired here at Iowa State with a 5-2 conference record? A big time win over the Longhorns, who was ranked in the top 10 in the CFP poll, will go a long way for Iowa State to have a shot of going to Arlington, Texas to play in the $1 billion pay plan. That game again, 8 p.m. on Fox tomorrow. And then, ladies and gentlemen, the game of the week takes us back out to the West Coast and the Pac-12. There's a lot of people who are upset that College Game Day would not be in the great state of Oregon for this showdown. They are coming after Kirk Herbstreit, Reese Davis, Pat McAfee for not being in Corvallis, Oregon. And it is the 11th-ranked Beavers hosting the 5th-ranked and undefeated Huskies of Washington. A game, a showdown that you cannot miss. 7:30 on ABC. Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit will be on the call for this one. It is the same that game they chose James Madison. I understand the James Madison story. They're undefeated, but the NCAA has this stupid behind rule that's keeping them from making history. Nevertheless, this is the game everybody should be watching in prime time. Corvallis, Oregon. It will be rocking. It will be dancing. It will be something to behold, ladies and gentlemen. As the team that is ranked 11 is a 1-point favorite on ESPN Bet. The forecast calls for 51 degrees and cloudy. ESPN Analytics says Washington is a 52.5 favorite to win the game, while the Beavers of Oregon State is 47.5. The last couple of weeks, the Washington Husky has been getting by. They got by Oregon. They got by Arizona State. Now you're going to Corvallis. And you take on the Beavers. DJU has been balling for the Beavers. But we know Michael Penix Jr. is our Heisman favorite. A slip up here by Washington and everything in the Pac-12 changes. A win by the Huskies, and they solidify their spot at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada. But a win by the Beavers, shake some things up in a big way going into the final week of the regular season with a matchup with Oregon. A lot is riding on this game, ladies and gentlemen, and I can't wait to watch it. It's going to be a thriller in the valleys of Corvallis. And now, the fan vote. The extra point van vote. I didn't know how the van was going for because we had a lot of choices on this one, ladies and gentlemen. And I do mean we had a lot of choices. If I can tell you the choices right now, we had Oklahoma at BYU on there. We had Florida at Missouri on there. Louisville at Miami was on there. Rutgers at Penn State was on there. We even had Georgia and Tennessee on there. You had five incredible games to choose from. And I was wondering where the people were going to go in this one. But with 49% of the votes, ladies and gentlemen, you took it to the South. And when I mean South, I mean Knoxville, Tennessee, where the 18 Rain Volunteers are coming home limping, feeling embarrassed after they got their ass whooped and handed to them by the Missouri Tigers. Taking on the number one team in the land, the reigning back-to-back undisputed national champions, the Georgia Bulldogs. 3:30, the SEC on CBS, with Brad Lesnar and Gary Danielson on the call. It goes down at a Rocky Top. Rocky Top, they can't do nothing. They can't stop Georgia from getting to the SEC championship game. Hell, they can't even stop Georgia from making the college football playoffs. Only thing Tennessee can do right now is pull off the upset nobody saw coming. And that's to beat the team who hasn't lost a game in damn near 3 seasons. If they can knock that out, that'll be a good boost for the Tennessee Volunteers. They'll get them to 8-3. But ladies and gentlemen, ESPN bet says 10 for the Bulldogs. ESPN Analytics says 69.4% Bulldogs. They don't give a damn. They just going Bulldogs. Until somebody showed them somebody can hang with the Bulldogs, they going Bulldogs. 3:30, CBS. So now we're going to take our final break. And then when we come back, ladies and gentlemen, it's the Bear Down Picks. I'm going to give you my picks. And we'll be ready for week 12 of the college football season. We'll be back.
Welcome to Ringside Chaos, the professional wrestling discussion segment of the Bear of Texas podcast. The only professional wrestling podcast in the world where pro wrestling is discussed passionately, with confidence, with great knowledge, and most of all, in the most sophisticated way. So brace yourselves, ladies and gentlemen, because chaos is about to be unleashed. Thing with Tony Khan now being in talks to buy WWE, I'm going to be honest with you. I spoke to this with Ricky Litwinkowicz, aka the Master of Mayhem, and he honestly believes that me talking about Tony Khan buying WWE is basically I'm kind of wasting my time because Ricky believes it's never going to happen. Okay. Now don't get me wrong. Ricky, I respect what he says. He could very well be correct, but I got to be honest with you. The fact that Khan is interested in supposedly buying WWE, to me, that's definitely worth talking about. Now, I should mention this. Shout out to Ricky, by the way. And I got to mention this, that even Jim Cornette already had something to say. And he said, and I quote, "Ridiculous to think that could happen," unquote. A wrestling fan that's been super supportive of Brody Lee as a wrestler and everything that WWE could have done with him and, everything that he could have shown and, offered for the wrestling business. For me, I wasn't just a fan of Brody Lee himself, like in character. I strongly respected him, as a human being. Like, I had a lot of respect for Jonathan Huber. That's Mr. Brody Lee's real name. So basically, I had a lot of respect for Brody Lee, Luke Harper, and of course, Mr. Jonathan Huber. Particular episode was about World Class Championship Wrestling. And the episode title is, WCCW Wrestling's Lone Star Legacy. And because I am the Bear of Texas, and I do hail from the Dallas-Fort Worth area of the state of Texas, World-Class Championship Wrestling was basically my territory as far as being a wrestling fan goes. Ladies and gentlemen, Ringside Chaos is available on all streaming platforms including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and YouTube.
The Playmakers Bar is proudly sponsored by Fanatics. Fanatics, the #1 shop where sports fans across the world love to get their sports gear and fandom on. A wide selection of gears from every league, including the NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, the NCAA, and of course, the WWE. Whether it is football, basketball, baseball, hockey, even soccer, golf, no matter what sport it is, there's sports appeal for every fan of every sport. Fanatics, where sports fans shop and official license everything. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Bearing Down the Gridiron. You got your 2-minute drill, you got your gridiron runner, and you got your canvas toys. Only one thing left to do. It's the Bear Down Pick 6. 47-19 on the year. I have wrapped up 6 straight extra points. I went 6-0 last week. Can I do it again? But on this one, ladies and gentlemen, these picks will not be easy to come by. So, let's go ahead through it. Give me the Missouri Tigers to hand the first conference loss to the SMU Ponies. Sorry, Ponies, but I'm taking the Tigers at home. And they make a statement saying, no. We're not done. Before UCF and Tulane became a thing, this was our conference. And I had that feeling Missouri is going to say something tomorrow. All right? So give me the Tigers of Memphis. Give me the Wildcats at home, man. The more Utah plays without their starting quarterback, the more evident it is like they can try all they want, and it's just not enough. It's just not enough. So I'm taking the Wildcats at home, and I'm going to Arizona. Arizona's on a magical run right now, and I love seeing it. I do love seeing it. So give me the Wildcats at home. Give me the UCLA Bruins to walk in the Coliseum to slay the Trojans. Bruins over Trojans in the blue versus red LA collision course. And my homie Jonathan Matthews is going to cuss me out when he hears this, that I'm taking the UCLA Bruins over USC. He's going to have a heart attack with me, and I don't care. Give me the Bruins. I finally get to pick against USC, and I'm doing it. The Sunflower Showdown. Kansas State or Kansas? Give me the Wildcats. Give me the reigning, defending Big 12 champions to say we're not going down without a fight. We have a shot to get back to Arlington, Texas to defend our crown, and I think they would take it like that when they walk into Lawrence, Kansas, and they face off with the Jayhawks. Give me the Wildcats. The win on the road, a big win on the road. Despite everything I said about the Cyclones, give me the Longhorns. When you got your quarterback back, Quentin Ernst, he got his first game under his belt against Texas, against TCU, a nice in-state rivalry. He's feeling pretty good. He made it through that game. Ames, Iowa was not an easy place to play it. Anybody in the Big 12 would tell you. Even Iowa from the Big 10 would tell you. Ames, Iowa ain't an easy place to play it. But give me the Longhorns, and they solidify their spot in Arlington, Texas for the Big 12 championship game. Just a matter of who do they face for the Big 12 championship game. And our game of the week, ladies and gentlemen. Give me the Oregon State Beavers. I am picking 11 to slay 5. Yes, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm going for it. Even though a lot of other people are going for it, this is like the trendy upset right now. A lot of people is liking Oregon State over Washington. And the fact that Michael Penix Jr. knows about it doesn't bode well for me or anybody else picking Oregon State because he knows they the underdogs and it might not be pretty for us. But hey, I'm picking Oregon State, man. Give me Oregon State, the knockoff Washington, and this thing in the Pac-12 is gonna be really opened up. All right, woo wee. Then extra point van, folks. I'm going Georgia. I'm going Georgia, man. Tennessee has nothing that they can do to prove to me otherwise that they can hang with Georgia. I told y'all Tennessee they had nothing to prove to me for me to pick them over Missouri, and they have nothing to prove to me to say they can hang with the Bulldogs. Give me the Bulldogs, okay? So there you have it. Those are my bear down picks for week 12. I'm taking the Memphis Tigers over the Ponies of SMU. I'm taking the Arizona Wildcats over Utah. Give me the UCLA Bruins over USC. Give me the Kansas State Wildcats to continue to claim Kansas as their state over the Kansas Jayhawks. Even though they're going to Ames, Iowa, I'm walking with the 7th-ranked Longhorns of Texas over Iowa State. 11 over 5, ladies and gentlemen. I'm taking Oregon State over Washington. That is my big pick of the week right there. And then for the extra point voted by the fans, give me Georgia over Tennessee. And I don't think it's going to be even closer, all right? I just don't think it's going to be close. So there you go. There you have it. Thank you for tuning in to Bearing Down the Gridiron on this lovely evening, on Friday evening, as we push towards Thanksgiving week. So enjoy this weekend. Enjoy your football. Let's get ready for Thanksgiving week. Do my best to get you an episode before Thanksgiving so that will be out there and you can have what you need. Until then, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. The Playmaker signing off. Catch you later. You just experienced Bearing Down the Gridiron, hosted by Donnell, the Playmaker Silence, in collaboration with Arthur's Football. Bear Down the Gridiron is sponsored by Lids, Fanatics, and Paramount Plus. If you enjoyed today's show and would like to make a donation, you can donate via Cash App at $The Playmakers at $The Playmakers. Remember, Bearing Down the Gridiron is available on all podcast directories, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. And for Apple Podcast lovers, leave us a rating review. Let us know what you enjoyed about today's episode that you're listening to. Tune in again next time for more Bearing Down the Gridiron, hosted by the Playmaker.